You know that moment when you're carrying something clearly too heavy. Your arms are shaking, your face is doing that quiet, strained smile, and someone says, "Hey, want help?" And you hear yourself say, "No, I've got it," even as your spine files a formal complaint. Maybe you're watching this thinking, "That's me." Or maybe you're thinking of someone else, the one who never asks, never leans, never says, "Can you?" out loud. The one who figures it out, carries it alone, and somehow makes independence look like a personality trait. But here's the curious part. People who rarely ask for help aren't all the same. Under that quiet, "I'll manage," are very different inner stories. Some learned it early, some learned it painfully, some don't even realize they're doing it. So let's slow down and look beneath the surface. Not to judge, not to diagnose, just to understand the psychology behind people who almost never ask for help, and what that says about how they relate to others and themselves. Because once you see it, you start noticing it everywhere. There's a certain type who learned very early on that help was unreliable. Picture a child who asked once, maybe twice, and was met with distraction, dismissal, or "figure it out yourself." Nothing dramatic, no obvious trauma, just enough moments where asking didn't lead to relief. Fast forward to adulthood, and this person doesn't feel angry about it, they're just efficient, quietly capable. They don't expect help, so they don't ask for it. They've built a self-image around being low maintenance. "I don't need much," they tell themselves, and often they're proud of it. Psychologically, this is about predictability. Relying on yourself feels safer than risking disappointment. Asking for help introduces uncertainty. Will they show up? Will they judge? Will I owe them something? So the mind chooses the option with the least emotional risk, doing it alone. If this is you, you might notice something subtle. You don't feel lonely exactly, but you feel unseen. People assume you're fine, and in a way, you train them to. Then there's another profile, the one who associates asking for help with weakness. This person doesn't just avoid asking, they actively resist it. Imagine someone struggling quietly, but the moment help is offered, they deflect with humor or competence. "It's no big deal. I've handled worse." On the outside, it looks like confidence. On the inside, it's often about identity. For this type, being capable isn't just a skill, it's who they are. Their sense of worth is tied to being strong, composed, and self-sufficient. Asking for help feels like cracking that image, even just a little, and cracks feel dangerous. Psychologically, this comes from environments where approval followed performance, where being useful, capable, or impressive earned safety or respect. Over time, the mind learns, "I'm valued when I don't need." So they become the one others lean on, the problem solver, the calm one in crises. And here's the twist, they're often excellent at helping others, just not at being helped. If you recognize yourself here, ask gently. When someone helps you, do you feel relieved or exposed? Then there's a quieter, more internal reason some people don't ask for help. They don't fully believe their needs are valid. This person might think, "Other people have it worse," or "I should be able to handle this," or "I don't want to be a burden." They minimize their own struggles so effectively that even they forget it counts. Picture someone exhausted, overwhelmed, emotionally stretched thin, but still apologizing when they mention it, still adding disclaimers, still saying it's not a big deal. Psychologically, this often comes from being emotionally attuned to others at the expense of oneself. These people are often highly empathetic. They notice shifts in mood, they sense when others are stressed, and they instinctively move to accommodate. But that same sensitivity turns inward as self-erasure. Asking for help feels like taking up space they don't feel entitled to occupy. If this resonates, you might notice you only ask for help when things are already at a breaking point, when the pain becomes undeniable. Until then, you endure quietly and call it maturity. Another profile looks similar on the surface, but comes from a different place: control. These are people who don't ask for help because they don't trust it will be done right. They might think, It's easier if I just do it myself, or explaining would take longer. They're not afraid of dependency, they're afraid of chaos, of inefficiency, of things slipping through cracks. Psychologically, this is about managing anxiety. Keeping everything within your own hands feels stabilizing. Asking for help means surrendering a bit of control, and for some nervous systems, that's more stressful than the workload itself. If this is you, you might notice that even when you're overwhelmed, you hesitate to delegate. And when someone does help, you feel compelled to supervise, not because you're arrogant, but because letting go feels unsafe. And then there's the most paradoxical group of all, people who don't ask for help because they don't want to owe anyone. Help to them feels transactional, like a future obligation, a subtle debt, so they choose independence to preserve freedom. This often comes from experiences where help came with strings attached, emotional leverage, guilt, unspoken expectations. The mind learns nothing is free, so asking for help doesn't feel supportive, it feels risky, like opening a loop you'll never be able to close. If this is you, you might notice you value autonomy deeply. You like clean emotional lines, no lingering obligations, and you'd rather struggle quietly than feel indebted. Now, here's the thing that ties all these types together. People who rarely ask for help are not less social, less warm, or less human. Often they're more thoughtful, more self-aware, more careful with emotional weight. But self-reliance, when taken too far, becomes isolation disguised as strength. And the psychology isn't saying you should ask for help more, it's asking a gentler question. What do you believe would happen if you did? Would you be disappointed, judged, owed, seen differently? Because the resistance usually isn't about the help itself, it's about the meaning attached to it. So as you sit with this, maybe reflect. Which inner story sounded most familiar? Maybe it's you, maybe someone close to you. And if you ever catch yourself saying, "I've got it," while your arms are shaking, maybe pause. Not to change anything, just to notice. Understanding comes before change. If this stirred something, let it linger. And if you want to explore more of the quiet patterns we rarely talk about, you know where to find this channel.